Welcome to the Airgap video presentation on creating and managing policies with the Airgap Zero Trust platform. So before we get started, we have a concept of local policies, right, applied to a specific site or cluster. We also have a global policy or concept of a global policy, and we use that construct as all sites. So one of the things we're going to do for this video is we're going to create, as covered in our previous group, create an autonomous group and define it as an operating system of Windows. And we're going to make this autonomous. So you'll see I have one Windows device on my network here. But again, in review, autonomous means as Airgap identifies a Windows device on the network, we add it to this group, and then this group is part of a policy, right? So as devices add or shrink, these policies dynamically change. So now that I have my autonomous Windows group policy, I can go back to a segmentation policy. So let's just assume that maybe I want to have a policy in place that says for all sites, doesn't matter if we have one site or 10 sites or 100 sites, I just want to prevent lateral movement from Windows to Windows devices and have a basket of insecure protocols. Think of RDP, WMI, SMB. And so these are ports and protocols that malware and ransomware uses to try to move laterally in an environment. So I'm going to create a drop policy, and we're going to name this drop Windows lateral as example. So my source will be my Windows group. My destination is going to also be my Windows group. So if you're a defined Windows device trying to go to a Windows device, we are going to block very specific ports and protocols. So maybe let's just say TCP 445. Right, and then we want to add in TCP 3389. We could also just type in RDP or SMB, but I'm just typing in the actual port numbers. So I've got my policy defined. I apply, click add, and then I click on the commit button. So now if I come into my site, you'll see my policy number 2 is applied. So what this means is if I have, let's say, a Windows file share on a Windows server, I would want to have a policy above this that says either source of Windows or a VLAN accessing a specific Windows file share except SMB, right? Because we'll want to have that above. The reason being is we have a cleanup rule in our example where we actually have a drop. So if it doesn't match policy 1 or policy 2, it'll actually drop. So I'll give you an example. If we look at the configuration of my Mac, you'll see that I'm part of the 10.1.20 network. My last octet is 233, and my bit mask is all Fs, which means, or subnet mask rather. So I'm a /32 in this network. So what'll happen is if I try to or attempt to SSH to my Ubuntu box, you'll see if it's not matched by policy 1 or policy number 2, that I hit the cleanup rule, which drops that communication, right? So what we want to do is we want to come through here and we want to create a policy, and we're going to create an accept policy. Just simply going to call it seeker SSH. Now my admin, I know this from before, is I have a Mac group for an admin workstation. So I have my MacBook Pro and an iMac in this admin workstation. And my destination, I'm going to just simply say subnet or host. And you'll see I'm going to add in a /32 for 10.1.20.237. And my ports, I'm going to create a custom port. You could type in SSH or simply just type in TCP 22. Click add, commit. Right, so what'll happen now, you'll see my first policy, as long as it's above the cleanup rule, is my admin workstation, which we're on here now, going to my Ubuntu server using TCP/22 and accept. So if I bring my SSH back up, SSH client, you'll see now that I'm able to authenticate. Right, so now I'm on the 10.1.20.237. In closing, when looking at the benefits of the Airgap Policy Builder, we offer an easy-to-use interface that is flexible with the needs of the business. Our autonomous groups give the Airgap policies the ability to quickly enforce new devices without intervention of the security team, and policies can be applied globally or cluster-specific. Thank you for watching our short video presentation.